So welcome to Yoga with Lynn on Wednesday evening. Thanks for joining me. You do yoga at your own risk. So pay attention to everything that you do and make sure that if something doesn't feel right, you make an adjustment. You leave anything out, everything is fine. So we're going to start, we're going to use a belt tonight, a belt and either a block or a cushion. And so a belt and a block, and once you've got those, then lie yourself down on the floor, make yourself comfy. So it's a hot night again tonight. We're going to be moving a bit less than normal to keep the heat down inside. But if it's a less strong practice, then make it a more observational practice. Be aware what it feels like every movement you make. I might give you a few little cues to remind you to do that. So once you're comfy on the floor, just take your attention to any sensation of air moving over your body. So maybe you've got a fan on, maybe you've got a window open. Maybe it's easy to feel some air over your body, and if it's not, then be feeling out for it, because it could come at any moment. You want to be feeling like if it does come, you're going to know about it, you're going to feel it. We automatically know that on a hot day that feeling of air is a very welcome feeling, and it brings with it a sort of emotion of relief or comfort. But rather than feeling that way, just notice what the sensation is of the air on your body. As if you had never felt it before, what does it feel like? And you're unlikely to be feeling it through your clothes unless your clothes are moving. So of all the bits of exposed skin that you have, where can you feel the air? Are there some parts that feel it, some parts that don't? Bring your attention to your breath. So now feel your body moving as you breathe. Allow your breath to slow down just to a nice, comfortable, smooth pace. So that you can then start to move your arms in time with your breath. So bring your arms down by your sides. And then as you take your next breath in, take your arms over beyond your head. And as you breathe out, bring them back down by your sides. And can you again be inquisitive about what it feels like? What tells you that your arms have gone far enough? What other parts of your body move as your arms move? And then the next time your arms land by your sides, let them stay there. Bend your knees, bring your feet onto the mat. Take your arms a little wider. And then feet almost as wide apart as the mat, a bit wider than hip distance. Knees out above your feet, so knees a bit apart as well. Take a breath in. As you exhale, let both knees drop over towards the right side. So just let them slowly go down to their maximum place. As you breathe in, they come back to the centre. As you breathe out, they go over to the left. As you breathe in, they come back. And then exhale over to the right. You're going to stop your legs here and just carry on breathing without moving your legs. So let your legs relax. If it feels okay, your right foot is going to go on the outside of your knee, so above your left knee. Right foot on your left knee, so that the weight of your right foot is gently squeezing your left knee a little bit down towards the floor. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. But you should get a bit of stretch on either the outside of your hip or the outside of your left thigh. Is it enough stretch if you let both legs relax, or does it feel better if you press the right foot firmer down on your knee? Your foot is hooked over, unhook it, and then bring your knees back to the centre. Take a breath in at the centre, and then both knees over to the left. So let them rest over at the left as you carry on breathing. So now it's the outside of the right hip and thigh. You might feel something, you might not feel much. Left foot goes on top of your right knee, and then let both legs relax. Shoulders relax as well. Does that give you a stretch, or is it better if you push the left foot onto the right knee? And then release the left foot, unhook it, knees back to the centre. And then both knees onto your chest, tuck them up nice and close, arms wide out to the side, and then you're going to take both knees over towards the left. So you're coming into a twist, your right arm stays stretched out on the right side, your legs come over to the left side, and if you want, you can take your left hand on your right knee to support it or to guide it down. Your face looks up towards the ceiling, and your right arm is stretched out. We're just going to move the right arm, maybe a bit of the right shoulder, so keep the right arm straight but move the arm down so that your fingers, instead of pointing out to the right, they start to point down towards the bottom end of your mat, and your arm carries on. Your hand's going to have to come off the floor a little bit as you continue it round. So your fingers then point towards your heels, your knees, and then it continues over like it's in a hand of a clock, reaching up beyond your head. And then as it comes out back to its starting position, you can feel your right shoulder closer on the floor. So you're going to continue that slow, smooth circling with your right arm. You don't have to move your legs, but whatever movement in your right shoulder feels good. And you look up at the ceiling the whole time. The next time your right arm is right out to the right side, you're going to take it the other way. So up first, up and then across your body. No need to rush. Next time your right arm is pointing out to the right, you're going to stay there. Extend the left arm out as well. And then bring both knees up onto your chest. You can go right leg first and then left leg if you want. Once you get to the centre, have a moment there. Still knees up tight. And then you're going to take your legs over to the other side. So no rush. Keep them tucked up. Get the right leg down as far as it wants to go, and then your right hand onto your left knee. Guide it down or support it from underneath. Have it comfy. Turn to look up at the ceiling. And now the left arm is stretched out. Keep it straight. You're going to circle that left arm, starting moving down towards the bottom end of your mat. So again, the legs don't move. You do what needs to be moved to get a big circle with your arm. And every time the arm goes out to the side, your left shoulder becomes closer and more comfortable down on the floor. And the next time it's out to the side, change your direction. No need to compare it to the other side, just feel what this side feels like. Every moment, what does it feel like? Next time your arm's wide out to the side, that's where it's going to stop. So if the left shoulder blade and back of the shoulder is a little bit closer to the floor now. Stretch out the right arm. Bring both knees onto your chest. And then hands around your knees. Take a rock side to side. Or any movement that gives your back a little bit of comfort. And then feet back down on the floor. Rest your arms. And roll to the right side. We're going to make our way up to standing. You don't need to turn your mat around. We're not going to do our usual salute to the sun today. You just want to be facing your screen. So bring your toes to point forwards. Two perfect footprints on your mat. Picture what the footprints would look like if you lifted a foot up. Soft knees. And as if there's a vertical thin line up through the centre of your body. So from between your ankles up through the between your legs, as if zipping your legs up through your core, up through the crown of your head. And you're looking forwards. So the line is very thin. It's drawing the centre line up, the skin around that very thin line. So as you breathe in, allow it to lift you taller. And as you breathe out, it holds you tall, but everything around it, your shoulders, your arms, can relax. So every breath in, it lifts you up. And every breath out, you keep that height, but you soften everything around it. Awareness as well as you take those breaths, that your footprints are still perfect. Keeping that feeling of lift and height, step your feet a little bit apart. And imagine you've got a wall behind you, so as you stand tall, the whole of the back of your body just gently touches that wall. So your lower back, your shoulder blades, the backs of your shoulders, the back of your head. And keeping contact with the wall, you're going to lean over to the right, sliding down the wall, a side bend. Let your right arm dangle. Equal weight on both feet. And then take your left hand onto the back of your head. Lift the elbow up towards the ceiling, and probably the back of your head's moved away from the wall, so just adjust so that everything's touching your wall. Push your left foot firmly down, lift your left elbow up. Take a breath in, big stretch on your left side. And then as you exhale, soften everything on your right side, let it go. Breath in again, stretch the left side. Foot down, elbow up. Exhale, soften the right side. One more breath in, big stretch. Breath out, soft on the right side. And a breath in to slide back up the wall. And a breath out to stand naturally. So still feel the wall behind you. And then slide down, keeping contact with the wall, slide down to the left. So left arm hangs heavy. Probably finds it awkward to start, but once you've been there for a couple of breaths, finds it a bit easier to go further. So right hand on the back of your head. Keep contact with your imaginary wall. And then as you breathe in, right foot down, right elbow up, big stretch. And as you exhale, soften your left arm, left shoulder, let everything on the left side hang. Breath in again, right side stretches. Exhale, left arm, left side, waist, everything softens. One more breath in. And a breath out. Breathe in to gently come back up. Exhale, let your arm come down by your side. So as you're standing, still feel like you're standing tall. And this time think about the top line of your shoulders, like if you were a silhouette, that top line. And your earlobes are going to lift up away from that top line of your shoulders. So your shoulders don't lift. It's as if you're pulling your earlobes up away from it. And keeping that feeling of lift through, sort of, well, up through your neck, up through the crown of your head. Just going to gently turn your head to the right, just as far as it wants to go. The left shoulder might want to pull forwards, so hold it back. And gently come back to the centre. Keep all that lift. Continue round to the left. So careful on the right shoulder, hold it in place. Gently back to the centre. Carry on round to the right. This time when you get to your comfortable maximum on the right side, just hold there. And if it would feel okay to have a bit of a squeeze a bit further round, do that, but only if it feels like it would be okay. Keep the lift. Your chin stays parallel to the floor. And unsqueeze any squeeze that you did, back to the centre. Continue around to the left. Find that comfortable maximum and then decide if it's okay to squeeze. And if you squeezed, unsqueeze, come back to the centre. And then take a roll of your shoulders, gentle and slow. we're going to balance. We're going to balance on one leg. So if you feel you need a support, then you want to have your support by your right hand for the moment. We come back to our mountain pose. That's standing tall feeling. So 2 perfect footprints and a zip up through the thighs, the inside of the legs, so calves down the thighs. A lift right up through the centre. Relaxed shoulders. Even that feeling of the earlobes lifting up off the line of the shoulders. Find a place where you're going to hold your gaze and then pick up the left knee. So you're going to hold either in front of your knee or underneath your knee and take the right arm out to the side. So that's where you can hold on to something if you want to. That's the best place for that. And then go through the standing up routine again. So is the right footprint perfect? That centre line through you, even though your centre of gravity is now changed because you picked up a foot, you've still got a centre line, lift up through it. Earlobes as well. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, left knee out to the left, but your hips and chest stay square to the front. All Tess. So a steady gaze and a steady breath. Left leg is going to stay where it is. You're going to extend the left arm out. Lovely. And then take your arms into a V shape. Stretch out the left leg. So you make a star shape, make it as big as you can, take up as much space as possible, and then tilt over to the right. Untilt, put to the floor, rest your arms by your sides, keep that same point of gaze, same steady breath. I'm going to go on the other side, so if you need to adjust where you are, if you were using a support, then have the support on your left side. Make the lift. And then pick up your right knee, hold in front or underneath. And left arm out to the side or as a bit of assistance if you need it. So perfect footprint, perfect lift up through that thin centre line. Shoulders relaxed, earlobes lifting up off your line of your top shoulders. Breath in. As you exhale, right knee out to the right. Slow, steady breath and a steady gaze. A bit of engagement through your core to hold the leg there and extend the right arm. And then arms into a V shape. Right leg stretches out. And then tilt. Be big. Fantastic. Untilt. Hold your gaze there still. Bring your foot down onto the floor. Arms by your sides. Stand tall for a moment more. Check your feet, check your centre line, check your shoulders and your ears. Step your feet hip distance apart. Hands on hips, Uttanasana, forward fold. Breath in to lift your chest. And then a breath out to hinge from your hips. So take it slow, everything slow tonight. Once you can't hinge any further than a bend of your knees, and let your rib cage drop down towards your knees. Let gravity take your upper body, your shoulders, your head and neck. Let go of your hips so you can take a hold of the opposite elbow with each hand. And relax your head, neck, shoulders, rib cage. Forward folds are the most cooling postures. So stay here for a few steady breaths. Then take a good deep bend of your knees. Release your elbows, tuck your tailbone under, tuck your chin in, roll back up to standing. And then have a lie down on your back on your mat. And once you lie down, see what you can sense on your body. Is there any movement of air? And what does it feel like? And then bend your knees, bring your knees onto your chest, hands around the back of your knees. And just pick the back of your head gently up off the floor. We're going to take a rock forwards and back, but beware, if you're on a hard floor with a thin mat and you've got quite a bony spine, you might not want to do this. So it's a very nice thing to do for your spine and the muscles around it, but don't do it if it feels uncomfortable and bony. So you want to round your spine as much as you can so that the momentum of just tipping backwards and forwards keeps you going as far as it possibly can. We've all got some flat bits, so they're the bits that you want to round out so that your whole spine is as round as a ball, just lets you rock backwards and forwards. And then the next time you come forwards, come all the way up. Lovely. Lovely, all the way up then. Perfect. Find your block. Have a sit on your block. And go ahead. So sit well on your block. We're going to twist. So we're going to bend the right knee, foot on the floor, and then hands around your right knee. So I'm just going to turn onto the side. As you take a hold, when you bend the knee in towards you, it's harder to sit up tall. So there's a certain amount of bulging out at the back that happens, whether it's low or high, depends on your back. But with your hands around your knee, see if you can move your back ribs forwards so that as your back ribs move forwards, they stack over your tailbone. And you might find that as you pull forwards with your back, your tailbone even untucks a little bit because it's quite tucked under when you round your back. Almost untucks, and then you can sit more upright. Because if this is upright, if your back ribs are above your tailbone, then the rest of your back, your upper back and your shoulders can just relax on top of it. Once there's any rounding, any tucking under and rounding here, there's no amount of rolling your shoulders back that's going to make you sit up tall. It's about lifting this bit forwards, getting that bit of lift. So thinking about that, just hold on with the left hand, right hand on the floor behind. So think about that lift of the lower back as you breathe in. And then as you exhale, take your turn to the right. You don't have to look over your right shoulder yet. I'll invite you to do that in a bit. So breath in, lift up tall. Think about the lower back. Exhale, twist to the right. So with your own breath, every breath in, think about back ribs stacking above your tailbone. Every breath out, that back of the right shoulder rolling into the space behind it. I'm going to take 2 more breaths. So breath in to lift. A breath out to turn, and this time look out over your right shoulder. Another breath in. Another breath out. And then relax your shoulders, your arms. Turn yourself back to the front. Stretch out that leg. If it needs a shake, give it a shake. But be aware. Notice if it needs a shake or not. It might not. And if it doesn't, then why bother? Left knee bends, foot on the floor. Hands around your knee. So feel what's happened. Feel how your tailbone tucks under. Your back wants to bulge out a little bit. As you get that leverage with your hands and draw your back ribs forwards, your tailbone just sticks out a little bit. So you want to get that vertical lift at the bottom of your spine so your shoulders and your upper back can just rest on there. Right hand's going to hold the knee. Left hand on the floor behind. Breath in, lifting your lower back. Exhale, turning to the left. So just your chest turns, head just goes where it's natural to go. So every breath in, you lift up tall. Every breath out, you turn a little further. Two more breaths. So breath in to lift. Breath out to turn and look over the back shoulder. One more breath in. Final twist with your breath out. And then relax your shoulders, turn to the front. Stretch your leg out. Now that it's done, give them a little shake. And then we're going to take the feet wide apart. So you can stay on your block. Definitely stay on your block if you get that tucking under feeling of your tailbone and the bulging out behind. If you find it more comfortable to sit here than that, then feel free to take the block away. If it's a bit easier to make that lift up of your lower back ribs. And hands either side of your hips. That'll give you a bit of support. And if it's difficult to make any movement forwards and back with your back ribs, see if it makes a difference if you bend your knees. Bend of your knees can make a bit of difference. So that's your option. So hands on the floor are just there to support you. Press down into them and then see what you can do with those lower back ribs. Try and push them forwards. Get them to balance over your tailbone if you can. So if that's as far as your hinge forwards is going to go, that's good, that's fine. Every breath in, you're going to really try and get that vertical bottom of the spine rather than doming back. And you can relax your shoulders and your head and neck, you can have them wherever you want, but every breath in, really try and find that verticalness, and every breath out, you can ease off of that a little bit. If you've easily got the verticalness, then obviously I'm going to ask you to bring your lower back ribs a little bit forwards. So your tailbone doesn't come forwards. In fact, it even pushes a little bit back. And you can keep your hands there or you can walk them forwards, wherever you get the support that you need. So it doesn't matter what the distance is between your back ribs and your tailbone, but every time you breathe in, try to increase that distance, tailbone back, lower back ribs forwards. And then every time you exhale, you can relax. You can soften your shoulders, Soften your head and neck. Your hands can support you however much you need, but slow, steady breath. Don't feel you've got to get to any particular distance. See how it feels if you slow your breath down as well. Take longer to breathe in and stretch. Take longer to relax and soften. And as you take those breaths and make that action, see if you can notice what stops you going further. What actually is it? Is it your hips? Is it your back? Is it something else? So 2 more breaths like that. A breath in to elongate that distance. Breath out to soften your shoulders, head and neck. Final breath in. And as you breathe out, just walk your hands in towards you if you've taken them forwards. Bring your spine upright if it's not upright. And then hands behind your thighs. Have a little bit of a bend. Bring your legs together. Then take a lie down. Take a lie down on your back. Find your belt as you go down. We're going to have a bit of a leg stretch, like they've not stretched already. Have a lie down on your back. Have your knees bent and your feet on the floor. Feel what your lower back feels like as it lies on the floor. And same kind of action, well, slightly different I suppose, but a bit of movement of your hips. Tailbone can tuck under, like as if you're slouching when you were sat up and your tailbone tucked underneath you. You can make that action by pushing your lower back down to the floor and your tailbone just sort of slightly starts to lift up a bit. Or you can come back to neutral and then you can push your tailbone out behind, lift your lower back away from the floor. So there's quite a bit of movement on your hips in that position. Find the neutral place and then bend your right knee, loop the belt around your right foot, stretch the foot up towards the ceiling. And once it's there, feel your lower back again. Has it done that first thing that we did? Has the tailbone lifted up and the lower back pushed down towards the floor? It probably has, because your hips are kind of trying to give your leg a bit more lift. And it's okay that it does that, but you might want to try to make the hips more neutral by finding just a little bit of air gap under the back of your lower back, but not an arch of your back. It's that neutral place again. Straighten the leg as much as it will go. Angle it in gently towards you. So every time you breathe in, you either elongate the leg, so stretching open the back of the knee, or you angle it a little closer towards you. And every time you breathe out, you can soften again. And as you take those breaths and those actions, still be aware of your lower back. And then extend the left leg out along the floor. So both heels push away, both legs straighten as much as they can. And now what's happened with the lower back? Because the left leg's straightened out, the hips find it harder to tuck under like that, so it's a more neutral position maybe. And take both ends of the belt in your right hand, left arm out,
at the side, palm face up. So your left arm and your left leg make a kind of L shape along the floor, capital L. Hold that L shape firm down on the floor. Take a breath in. And as you exhale, take the right leg a little bit out to the right, but think about your L shape firm down on the floor. Just a little way out to the side, and then make a bit more length in the belt. Get your right elbow down on the floor, and then you've got some support for your leg. So the leg's not holding itself, the belt's holding it. Maybe it'll go a little further out to the side. Try not to let the toes come further away from the wall beyond your head. Okay, what's your L doing? Squeeze it down. Stretch out the back of the right leg, make it as long as you can. And then pick up your right elbow, bring your leg back up to the centre. You take a hand on either end of the belt. Ease your leg in towards you. And then slide the belt off your foot. Lower your right leg back down onto the floor. So both legs are straight on the floor. Let them relax for a moment. So that thing that we did with both knees bent, when I asked you to tuck your tailbone under or to push it out behind, and you got quite a lot of flexibility. When you put your legs straight out, if you straighten both legs, push your heels away, there's a lot less flexibility that your hips have there. Bend both knees, feet on the floor. Just try again. There's loads more flexibility in your hips. So the moment we stretch a leg out beyond, it's going to hold the hips steady. So the hips in their more open place now. You're going to bring your left knee onto your chest. Loop the belt around your foot. One hand on either end of the belt, stretch your leg up. So think about opening the back of your knee. Relax your shoulders. Think about bringing the leg towards you. So as you breathe in, that's when you get the stretch that you feel. Where however you feel it, you choose what you do to make that stretch. As you breathe out, you can ease off a little bit and relax your shoulders. And as you do that, a little bit of consideration of your lower back, or just observation of your lower back. And then the same observation of your lower back as you stretch your right leg out along the floor. What happens with your hips and your lower back? Does it mean your leg has to come a little bit away from you? Is it a harder stretch, so you have to ease off a little bit? Both heels push away. Straightening as much as you can both legs. And both ends of the belt in your left hand. Right arm out to the side. Find your L shape. Your right arm, your right leg. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, left leg out to the left. As directly to the left as you can. Move slowly. Once you're halfway there, then make that bit of extra length in your belt so you can get your elbow on the floor. Then the legs supported. Then see if it will go just a little bit further. Check your L. Make sure every part of your L is on the floor. And then lengthen the left leg. Lengthen the back of the knee. Pick up your left elbow. Guide your left leg back up to the centre. And slide your belt over the end of your toes. Let the left straight leg go back down onto the floor. Once it lands, relax your legs. Take your feet a little bit apart. Put your belt down by the side. You're done with the belt. And bend your knees, feet onto the floor. Bridge pose, Setu Bandha. So feet hip width apart, toes a little bit turned in, heels close in towards your hips, and then arms by your sides, palm face down. So be really thoughtful about your movements. Don't lift to your maximum. If you suddenly feel that you're pushing to your absolute limit, then ease off a little bit so that you could stay just a fraction longer, and I'll give you an invite at the end to have a final push for 2 breaths if you want to take it to your maximum. We're going to think more about the feet and the shoulders and the arms. So find your 2 perfect footprints once again. And as you press your footprints down firmer, let your hips float up. Just let them lift as high as is comfortable. So once you lift your hips, your attention goes to your hips. Take your attention back to your feet. Push down into your footprints. Feel your hips allowed to lift again. And then back to your footprints. Press down. One more little bit of lift. And as your hips lift higher, your chest starts to lift towards the ceiling as well. But pushing down through your upper arms gives you a load more lift in your chest. To get even more lift, bend your elbows, point your fingers up towards the ceiling. You might want to bring your elbows a little closer in to underneath you. And then real strong push down with your upper arms so that your back ribs lift away from the floor, your chest domes up towards the ceiling. And then check in with your feet again. Is your footprint still perfect? It might have changed. Perfect footprint, pressing down, lifting your hips. Upper arms, strong position so that they can push down and lift the center of your chest. We're going to have these 2 more breaths if you want to make a real strong press down through both. So take a breath in, big strong lift up, and a breath out. One more breath in, big lift, and a breath out. And then let your arms rest on the floor, a little wide of your body. Send your hips slowly but firmly towards your heels, and just feel the whole width of your back rolling down onto the floor. Feel it as it makes contact. Try and make every bit count so the back of the waist even will land before your hips. Bring your knees onto your chest, hands around your knees. Breath in. As you exhale, bring your forehead up towards your knees. Relax your shoulders away from your ears. A tight little ball. Upper back of the head, roll back down onto the floor. And then you can take a rock side to side. Or any movement that gives your lower back that nice bit of massage. So maybe a figure of 8. And there's 2 ways around that a figure of 8 can go. And then feet back down on the floor. And do a breathing exercise this evening. So if you want to stay on the floor, you can. It's always nicer, I think, to sit up to do a breathing exercise because you can, you're more alert if you're sat up. It's easy to drop off a little bit when you've got, when you're lying on the floor. But understanding that it's a hot night tonight, and I'm telling you this so that if you don't want to get up, don't even bother getting up. Stay on the floor. So make your choice, don't be influenced by what anyone else might be doing if you can see anyone else. And if you sit up, find any blocks or cushions that you want to sit on. Find a comfy place. You can sit on your settee if you would rather,
or you can lean back against a wall, but try to have a lifted spine. So if you sit on the sofa, don't slouch, sit with a lifted spine. That's the important thing. So we're going to do Nadi Sadhana, which is alternate nostril breathing. So if you're lying on the floor, you're absolutely fine if you know what you're doing. If you're not sure, then just take a look towards your screen. Same if you're sitting up. If you know a hand gesture for Nadi Sadhana, then please use your own. But the one that I am familiar with is your right hand turns palm face up, and you're going to bring the first two fingers, curl them into your palm. So your thumb and your ring and little finger are extended. Your right thumb rests on your right nostril, just very gently, and your ring finger on your right hand rests on your left nostril. So they're there so that you can close one nostril and breathe just through the other nostril. So when one nostril's closed, all the air will go through the other nostril. I'm now going to change my hand because this is my right hand. You can look if you want to. You can close your eyes if you feel happy to do that. Make sure you're comfy and know that you can adjust your position anytime you want to. And if you're sitting up, you can lie down. Don't mind what you do, as long as you stay comfortable. So I'm going to start with an exhale through both nostrils. Close the right nostril, breathe in through the left. Change over, close the right nostril, left nostril, breathe out through the right. Breathe in through the right. Change over, breathe out through the left. So notice the pattern because you'll be on your own in a moment. In through the left. Change at the top, out through the right. In through the right. Out through the left. So you're on your own, breathe in through the left. You're going to change nostrils at the end of every inhale. Feels like the top of the breath. And you're on your own so that you can breathe at the pace that feels comfortable for you. In your mind's eye, follow the path of the air through one nostril, through the other nostril. Would it be comfortable to breathe a little bit slower, so it takes longer to breathe in and longer to breathe out? Ensure there's no tension in your jaw, your forehead. You're at a slow, comfortable pace. Continue at that pace. When you next breathe out through your left nostril, then take one more full cycle until the next time you breathe out through your left nostril. And then relax your arms, natural breathing. If you're sitting and you're comfortable and you want to stay there, please do, but if you would rather take Shavasana lying down on the floor as your final relaxation, then make your way down whenever you're ready. At the end of your next exhale, take 3 slow, deep breaths. And after the 3 breaths, then natural breathing. But with those 3 breaths, as you breathe in, feel as if you're really breathing energy into your lungs. And reach your arms beyond your head. Bring your legs together, stretch your heels away from you, pull your toes up towards you. And then point your toes away. Release that stretch. And if you're on your back, then bend your knees, bring your feet onto the floor and your knees up onto your chest. Hands around your knees or on your knees so that you can make a nice big circle with your knees. Rolling around your lower back. And then go back the other way. And then change that movement to a side rock. Know which way you're going to do your final roll and make a roll all the way onto that side. And then up to sitting. Namaste. Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me. Good to see you all.